Hey, this is Colton Dixon, and you're listening to Dispatch Radio.
All right, I love these moments where I get to switch gears and talk movies. And at the end of this month, there's a great movie coming out called The Bag Man. It opens February 28th. And, it's one of those action crime thrillers. And there's, of course, a scheming damsel in distress, who we always know that doesn't turn out well. And we have her on the phone, Rebecca Da Costa. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great, thank you. I'm excited to talk about the movie.
That's fantastic. It's great co-stars, Robert DeNiro, John Cusack, Crispin Glover. Tell everybody a little bit about the film and your role in it.
So the movie's about a hitman, John Cusack, and he's tired. He wants to quit his job, and he goes to his boss, which is played by Robert De Niro, and said, I want to quit. And De Niro says, well, you can quit, but you got to do one last job, which is to go to the middle of nowhere and protect this bag and wait for me there. But the deal is you can't look inside of the bag, no matter what happens. And my character, her name is Rebecca, and she's one of those things of destiny. She just comes across John Cusack's character, and we develop this relationship. So it's really, really cool. And one coincidence is that Rebecca is my name, Rebecca, in Hebrew. So I thought it was an odd coincidence.
I did not know that. That's great. Okay. Mm-hmm. Rivka is Rebecca in Hebrew. All right. Mm-hmm. So we have this great cast. Tell us a little bit of what it was like working with De Niro and Cusack.
Oh, my God. It was mind-blowing. When I first heard I got the part and I was playing opposite De Niro and Cusack, I was like, I almost had a heart attack, seriously. Because, I grew up watching those guys, you know what I mean? And, of course, I was very nervous, and I was thinking to myself, oh, my God, can I do this? And I prepared very hard. I had 2 months to prepare myself. So I really studied, I had, classes with my coaches and everything. So by the time I got to the set and I met those men, they were so sweet. Like De Niro, he's a very quiet man. He doesn't talk much, but he's so open and such a nice human being, so giving. I became a huge fan of him. I was so impressed by him. And Cusack, of course, Cusack is amazing and crazy and talented, and we had a great time. And he loves to improvise, and he would drive me crazy because, at the time, improvising was like, oh, my God, I hate doing that. But we just went along, and we had the best time, yeah.
Cusack is known to be improviser. Someone probably should have warned you, because that's something we hear a lot. We talk about Cusack in his movies and that kind of thing. So give us an example of where John went off script and Rivka's there trying to figure out exactly how to respond.
Yeah, I know. I wish people had told me that, But anyway, there was one scene that was no dialogue. I was just lying on the bed, and I was supposed to be unconscious, and he was supposed to come, wake me up, and walk me to the bathroom, because the bad guys were coming. And of course we rehearse and everything's fine. And once the cameras are rolling, he comes, and instead of waking me up, he just takes me and put it on his shoulders and start running towards the bathroom like I was a doll or something. And once the director called cut, everybody just started laughing, and I was like, it was just so funny, And he was like, he's really one of those actors that's really, goes whatever is going on his mind at that moment he expresses,
Does that make the final cut, or is that just going to have to be one of those deleted scenes we get to laugh about?
No, it made the final cut.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And just so folks know that what Rebecca went through, John is not a little guy. John's about, 6'3", 6'4"? He's a big guy.
God.
So
He's
Rebecca
huge,
got tossed in the air just a couple inches here. So this was a little bit of a shock for her. So that was a fantastic story. You've worked with the director, David Gravich, now a couple times. So you were in Free Runner. I know you worked with him, I think, on Breaking at the Edge as well a little bit. So tell us a little bit about what it was like to work with David on this.
Well, it was the first time that I was directed by him because he produced the other two movies.
Right.
He's just a blast to work with. He's so open, and he gave us so much freedom to create, which was wonderful, because one thing is on paper, but once you get to the set, things change, and you have to be open to those changes. And it was just amazing. And he's very funny. He's English, so he has that, British humor. And he wrote a lot of the script, so he knew the script, inside out. And it was just a blast. I had a great time working with him. Yeah.
As you started to put together, I know you talked about your acting coach a little bit, but how you put together what Rivka was going to be like. what did you use as sort of kind of some inspiration? Did you watch certain other films, or did you just something from your past? I mean, how did you get sort of inspired to bring her to life?
Well, for instance, there was a book where the movie is inspired by the book The Cat, which is like a mythology type of book. So I read that book a lot.
Right.
And also, I just started to research, because she's very, as I said, she's very sharp. She's very, witty, and she has all these action scenes. So I was thinking, oh my God, how should she dress? How should she talk? And of course, she says she's a stripper, but you are never really sure if what she's saying is true or not. But I did take some, strip classes, just to get kind of the vibe of it. And then, as I said, the director gave us a lot of freedom. So I started. I knew that we were shooting very dark, and I told him I have like natural dark hair. I told him, oh, how do you feel about me being a blonde? Rivka being a blonde. He goes, you're crazy. I said, oh, let me try. So I dyed my hair blonde, and he really liked it. I said, okay, so that's how she's gonna look like it. And then I said, oh, how do you feel about she wearing a wig? A blue wig. And then throughout the movie, she can remove that layer. It's like a visual layer.
Right.
And he goes, oh, I like that. So all these things I was able to, I was given freedom to create, and it was so much fun. Just to this whole creative process is the part that I like the most.
We're talking with Rebecca Da Costa about the new film, The Bag Man. It comes out at the end of the month. A great film. It's going to be starring Robert DeNiro and John Cusack, Crispin Glover, and herself. And Rebecca, I want to touch a little bit on some of these other projects that you've been on, because it's a great film. Breaking at the Edge, Milo Ventimiglia and Andy McDowell are on those. Tell everybody a little bit about that film and what you did in that.
Yeah, that's a great movie. It's coming out in the summer, and I play this girl. She's Brazilian. She comes to the U.S. to study art history, and she's bipolar, and she's also 6 months pregnant, and she stops taking her medication, and she develops schizophrenia, So it's really draining and really challenging to play that character. And as you said, I played against Milo Ventimiglia. He plays my husband in the movie, and he was a fantastic partner to work with. We shot in Savannah for 2 months, and it's very dramatic. And once my character becomes schizophrenic, she starts to see, supernatural type of energy, like ghosts and things like that. So it's really cool.
And it's a very interesting concept, because I think you're kind of leaving the audience. You don't really know what's real and what's not real, what's inside Bianca's head and what's not, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You keep, yeah.
And that's called Breaking at the Edge. That comes out later this summer. And, of course, you just, one of your most recent films you did also was Free Runner. Tell folks a little bit about Free Runner.
Yeah, Free Runner came out about a year ago, and it's a movie about parkour I did with Sean Ferris. And what was amazing, we were just developing parkour. I didn't know about parkour before, so I had some classes to learn and just to practice a little bit. And it was a lot of fun. And working with Sean, he's a fantastic guy, great guy.
Now you obviously you're from Brazil, and you started out, doing some modeling work and that kind of thing. What's been one thing that, now that you've had so many productions under your belt, you've worked with some of the folks that you've been able to work with, like in addition to the folks in this film, you've got Val Kilmer and Ving Rhames and all these different folks that you've been able to work with. What's one of the biggest lessons that you think that you've learned and you could pass on to other folks?
Regarding the movies, you mean lessons?
Yeah, like as an actress. I mean, the transition from modeling to acting is a big step for some folks. And what's one of the things that you've really learned that you think could help other people?
I think as an actor, what I've learned, especially in my last picture, The Bagman, is to be open. Because no matter what, like as I said, one thing's on paper, but once you get to the set, things change, and you have to be open to anything. If the director says, let's burn this script and let's improvise the entire scene, let's do it. You have to be open to do that. So that's one thing that I've learned, because before I was very, I cannot do this. I have to, to stick to the script. So that's one thing. And from modeling, I was a model since I was 14. I modeled for 10 years. I traveled all around the world. I lived in Europe, Asia, everywhere. And I think the thing that I carried to the acting was the experience that I had. I met so many people I lived in so many countries, and all those experiences I'm able to use when I'm creating my characters.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I was doing some of the research as well. I just wanted you to be able to touch on, because you do a lot of philanthropic work as well, work with autism and some of those kinds of projects. Give folks a little bit of an idea of what some of the things that have touched your heart and what you try to do.
Well, one of the causes, like I said, autism and also HIV, because I had a friend that passed away, unfortunately, because of HIV. And I just think that there is still such a stigma about the illness, about the disease. People still feel ashamed to talk about it. And I think the more education people get it, the more open they will be to the subject. We should not be, I don't even know the word in English, but we should not be, is that criminalizing? Is that a word? But anyway, we should just be educating people. It's so important, and to just stop this criminalization about people with HIV. So that's one of my main causes. And autism, I love children, and I just think, we should bring more and more awareness to develop more, studies about this disease.
Fantastic, yes. Well, we've been talking with Rebecca Da Costa. Her new film is The Bag Man. It comes out February 28th. She'll be starring alongside Robert DeNiro, John Cusack, Crispin Glover, and I definitely want to check that out. We'll have links to some of that. Put the trailer up so you can catch a good background of that. Rebecca, are you on Facebook and Twitter and all that, or is that something that you...
Yes, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. Rebecca Da Costa.
Rebecca Da Costa. We will have links to some of that as well, so folks can kind of keep an eye out on what's going on, where you're going to be, and that kind of stuff. Very exciting talking to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for fitting us in your busy schedule.
Thank you, Brand. It was my pleasure.